Or shot fire, officer down, shot fire, officer down. Got a city officer down, shot fire.
223, be advised, we have a visual on enemy paratroopers in grid Papa uniforms.
Welcome to the Resilient Warrior Nation, a podcast dedicated to inspiring hope and healing for first responders, military veterans, and anyone facing PTSD and trauma. Hey guys, welcome to another podcast episode of the Resilient Warrior Nation. I'm your host, Mike Morgan. I'm super excited about today's episode and guest. First, as I do every episode, I like to explain why I wear the shirt. This is not a proclamation. This is a company owned by a man named Eddie Penny. Eddie's a former Navy SEAL Team 6 guy. And as I sat down in the spring of 2023 to watch a podcast episode of The Sean Ryan Show, I had no idea Eddie was literally about to change the trajectory of my life. I'm a 30-year medically retired police officer. Post-career, which had been just about a year to that point of the podcast, I had been kind of suffering depression, rage, anger issues, just general unhappiness. Really was not sure what was going on. And as I sat down and watched that episode, Eddie was recounting the story of the Extortion 17 incident in which Chinook was shot down in Afghanistan, killing all 38 aboard, including 17 SEALs. It was their largest loss of life or community in one event ever. Including in the dead was Jason Workman, Eddie's best friend. And as Eddie told the story of escorting Jason's body back first to his hometown in Utah and then to Arlington National Cemetery, he began to get upset, rightly so. I simultaneously began thinking about a call that I had 5 years before that I had buried involving a 2-year-old found floating in a pool. And as I listened to Eddie speak and I thought about this call involving this beautiful girl named Dana Sikorsky, I literally just lost it, started crying like a baby. I had no idea what was going on. Thought I was having like a mental breakdown. Kind of put two and two together rather quickly, realized I suffered some sort of PTSD in my career. Always mistakenly believed that you had to see your brother or sister next to you get killed to do so, but mine was from being inside the most devastatingly intimate moments of other people's lives for 30 years. Knew I needed help, wasn't sure I was going to go about it. Ended up going the psychedelic route. Literally changed my life over the course of a weekend. And the universe told me after my first journey, I was healed from my PTSD. It's not linear. I go through shit like everyone every day. But for all intents and purposes, that PTSD was healed. My life's purpose to go forth and help other first responders heal their PTSD and trauma issues. Said okay, had no clue how I was going to go about it. One thing I decided to do was start a podcast, just like Sean Ryan's, to do for others what his did for me. And in that, I bring on ordinary people who've done extraordinary things with their lives, talk about the highs, lowest of lows. And my hopes is that you men and women who are going through it can identify with them, can get hope and inspiration, raise your hand and get the help that you need. So first of all, you are not alone. We all think that. It's almost comical, and I don't mean in a funny sense. Very ironic. But I am excited to introduce my next guest. He is Patrick Tozzi. He's a retired U.S. Navy SEAL Senior Chief with 20 years in Naval Special Operations, who now leads as the founder of Summer Brave Design, formerly known as Green Devil Garage. The company builds custom motorcycles, custom vehicles, and high-end functional art rooted in discipline and precision. He's also the founder of the Longinus Initiative Foundation, a nonprofit dedicating to teaching youth and veterans hands-on trade skills, leadership, and resilience through structured build programs. Patrick work centers on responsibility, mastery, and the belief that working with your hands builds strength of character. His mission is to build capable men, strong communities, and a legacy that endures. Pat, fantastic to have you on here, brother. Truly an honor.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for the invite.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Pat and I had gotten on a phone call a couple of months before and kind of blew my mind that Pat's dad is from where he's from and did what he did where he did. Pat will tell the story, but Pat, can you just get the audience to know you a little bit better, where you're from, how you grew up, who you grew up with?
Yeah. So I grew up in a little area right in between Dallas and Fort Worth. I always say I'm from Dallas, Texas, because nobody will know when I say I'm from Euless, Texas. So it's right over by DFW Airport. There used to be fields everywhere and beautiful ranches and all that. Now it's gas stations and a bunch of houses and stuff. So I grew up there. Grew up with an older father. My parents were 31 years apart. Sylvester Stallone was not the Italian stallion. It was my father. No, he's originally from Brooklyn, but he was a police officer in the city and in Nassau County, and one of the top detectives in Nassau County in New York that of all time, I guess. I think they've done a few discovery things on. It's called the House of Flying Objects. Ivan Jerome case, like quite a few things. So my dad was also the predecessor to what I ended up doing. So spent 20 years in the SEAL teams. My dad was World War II, what's called the First Naval Amphibious Unit, a part of the NCDU. So he was Special Forces in World War II, my dad. And after that, then he was a cop in New York, then ended up moving to Texas. Met my mom, again, 31 years apart. She was 29 when I was born. I was born a day after his 60th birthday. So what a terrible, terrible present that was. But I grew up rough and wild, man. He got sick when I was like 12, kind of took over his, a lot of the things that, you don't do as a kid, took over quite a bit, and lost him when I was 18. And that's a really important time and figure in your life. And I actually had a choice of I was a fighting fool. That's just what we did for fun. So I had a choice of a 5 to 7 year prison sentence for attempted murder at 18 years old, or going to the military. So
go hard or go home.
Yeah. So I got lucky with that. That was actually from his relationships. One of his best friend's son was just left like the head of the SWAT team, the Dallas SWAT team at that time, I believe it was. And he was the assistant, I think, to the prosecuting attorney. And he's still out there, Judge Chuck Vanover. He is an amazing human being, does tons of great things for veterans. He saved my life. He saw something in me that nobody else saw. He gave me the opportunity to turn my life around. And after that, I can't say I never looked back, but I look back in a good way of like, you know what, I was given an opportunity. Anytime I have the chance to give somebody the same, I am going to do that.
Today's episode is brought to you by Cutting Edge Testosterone Therapy, a veteran-owned, family-run clinic led by a retired first responder. At Cutting Edge, they help men and women rebuild strength, focus, and vitality through advanced hormone therapy, peptides, and performance-based weight management. Whether you've served your country, your community, or your family, Cutting Edge helps you get your edge back safely, professionally, and with people who understand what service takes out of you. Cutting Edge offers individualized care with no monthly fees or contracts. Learn more at cuttingedgetestosteronetherapy.com. Cutting Edge Testosterone Therapy, built by those who serve, for those who still do. For those watching, if you're ever in a position to change someone's life like that, I've heard that sentiment over and over and over, where guys were facing disciplinary actions, whatever the case may be, loss of something they were planning on doing, and then someone stepped in because they saw something in them and then gave them a second chance. And second chances are beautiful. Most of the time, you went and changed your entire life after that. So it says everything that you need to know about you and everything you need to know about that man. So once you get out of Texas, you go right. How does it work now? You go into Naval Basic Training and then right to Buds?
I did. I had a contract for my first go. So my first Buds class of 2 was class 254. I was the last dude to go away in that hell week. I was just a fighting, angry dude, and it was like, I would say early Tuesday morning, so like midnight, somewhere around there. We had our meal and get going again, and one of the instructors was just in my ear. The guy was like shorter than me. I'm 5'7", he's a smaller fella, man, and he's in my ear, and I'm getting pissed. And I was like, no, I don't have to deal with this, man. Like, I'm just gonna get out from under here. I'm done with it. I'm gonna beat your ass, and then I'm gonna go. I got out from under the boat, and they're like, nonverbal DOR, you're out of here. And I'm like, oh crap. So I never even thought about it. Somebody asked me years later, like, why didn't you just get back under the boat? And I was like, I don't know.
Where were you when I needed you, man?
Yeah, man. So I went hip to the ship for 18 months, forged some documents, and got out of there as soon as I could, and went back to Buds and did it again and shut my mouth and put out, and then went to Team 2 after that for for a good while, then training, then back to Team 2. Then I went to Team 4 after that, and then back to training and retired. So I spent collectively close to a decade at Team 2, a couple years in training, and about 4 years at Team 4.
And then what year did you start your career?
I started in 2004.
Okay, so your entire career was basically during wartime as well.
Yeah, and I'm one of few dudes that did all combat deployments. My last one, I tried to go to South America and get a little break. I was teaching myself Spanish, and my buddy was the command master chief at the time, and I was telling him where I wanted to go, and he just laughed in my face, and he's like, "Nope, that's not happening. You're going back to Somalia."
Thanks, bro. You're looking out.
That was the last day I studied Spanish.
Yeah, not too much of that smoking in Somalia.
No.
So, how many deployments did you actually do?
I ended up doing six in total. One was like a year long. Others were all 6 to 7 months.
Okay. So now, as you're going through your years in the teams, I'm assuming you're loving what you're doing. I can't imagine not, but I don't want to put words in your mouth.
For the most part, I think as you grow in the teams, as you get older, just like with anything, you know, everything has its good, everything has its bad, its ups and downs. You know, I wouldn't change anything for the world, but you know, I'd say, you know, 3/4 of the way through my career, I had a big shift in kind of the way I saw leadership, the way I saw things in the teams, because you know, the teams, and you've heard guys like DJ and all the other guys, him and I have talked about it. It's very dog eat dog world that it's very immature in a lot of aspects. Some of the most fit and intelligent and hardworking individuals in the world, that's for sure. But it's a very faithless society. The faith is only in oneself and, you know, whatever patch you're kind of wearing at the time. And I think that's a big part of the downfall of its culture currently. You know, when you're seen doing something different, when I was a new guy, you know, guys would say, you know, if you don't go out and drink with us, you know, I don't trust you. And I ate that hook, line, and sinker for most of my career. And then when I went to training, I started seeing, like, you know, I was still wild then, man, and showing up to work in the bag. And that was the saying, you know, if you should be able to do your work hungover, drunk, whatever. But in the neurological and the actual training aspect of things, you're only getting a fraction of what you could be getting if you're actually in there and you have everything kind of going for you. So, you know, I told my guys later on, if I smell booze on you at work, you're gonna pay. If you're not getting the right amount of sleep, if you're not 100% when you show up to train, your ass is mine. So a lot changed in that. There's a really great book about do you know the All Blacks are, the rugby team?
Yeah.
The book Legacy, man, what an incredible piece of literature.
Really?
For leadership, it's an absolute must read. That and The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. It teaches time optimization, but the culture that the All Blacks have and create and mentor is, you know, everybody has a place at the table, and that's the way it should be in, you know, high performing outfits like that. Same as the SEAL teams, everybody has a place at the table, and you can see some of the new guys do some of the most amazing things if you let them make the mistakes. Leadership is not only faith in the organization, in my opinion, but it's faith in knowing that when they mess up, because it's going to happen, that you're going to be able to teach to that moment and help to make that correction. So leadership is so much of just letting go, and a lot of people will see that as you not putting forth effort. Leading by example isn't getting out there and doing stuff for people. It's giving them the tools, giving them the resources, and letting them do their thing, because that's where evolution comes from. Some of these guys have some of the greatest ideas, and if you shoehorn them into this is how things are not going to grow.
Yeah, it's very true. On a small scale as a field training officer. So I used to train the recruits after they graduated the academy. Excuse me. And I used to tell them all the time, number one, just because I have 20-something years on doesn't mean you can't teach me something. Number two, as we're going along, I don't want you thinking about what you think I want you to do. Do what you think is the right thing to do. Think about what you should be doing. If it's the wrong thing, I'm going to correct you. But I don't want you to be in your head thinking about what I'm thinking about you should be doing. So, yeah, you need to let people operate. And listen, some of the best times and best improvements you're ever going to make are when you made a mistake and someone's going to come to you with constructive criticism, treat you like a man, not yell at you and bury you, but this is how you do it better. And then, think about all your mentors that treated you like that as opposed to screaming at you like a lunatic. You just shut down. That message is never received when it's done in anger.
No, absolutely. If you make somebody force them to be afraid of failing, then they're not even going to be able to try. If the repercussion is so devastating and vast that they don't even want to try at that point, then you're just gonna be stagnant, and it's not gonna get any better. Letting them know, like you said, we've been doing it for a long time. There's another great book called the Maneuver Warfare Handbook, and they talk about the OODA loop cycle, the World War II fighter pilots, and the decision-making process. And that's all that time is I have done this training, this iteration that many more times that my decision-making process is faster. You went through the same training, you know what to do, you're just not going to get there as fast. And then when things fall apart, you're not going to have the experience of the other repetitions of how to then fix that. Time is just, a couple more iterations. We all have the same training. I'm going to get there a little bit faster, but we've all got the same tools. I just get to them faster.
Yeah, it's all about experience, and in order to get it, you're going to have to make mistakes, and that's the biggest thing to tell guys. Yeah. Like, you're not infallible. None of us are, man, so don't try to be, because it's an impossible standard you're never going to live up to, and then you're going to get in your own head. So I think it's great advice. So as you're going through, a big part of my podcast is mental health. Are you, I don't want to say suffering, but as you progress through your career, are things kind of getting to you periodically? And I don't know what they may be, but as far as all the trauma you see and experiencing, anything that ever gives you pause to be concerned, or to start thinking about things in a different light, maybe different perspectives are hitting you as you're evolving through your career?
At this point, now I definitely have a lot better resources with my faith, meditation. I'm Catholic, devout Catholic, go to church every weekend, pray probably an hour plus every single day. The SEAL teams don't give you a whole lot when it comes to mental health resources. It's basically, you are this tool, and I'm going to use you till you break. Then we're going to fix you as quickly and inefficiently as possible, and we're going to get you back on and get you to rock and roll. When that all kind of hit me was, I think it was about 13, 14 years in my career. I was just voted the Sailor of the Year for SEAL Team 2, which ended up making chief. So was one of the top team guys in the whole East Coast. And at that same time, I went through a divorce, big business change, and this is where the teams eat you. Discovery Channel was approaching me about doing a TV show on the shop. I had already had, I'd already had one back surgery at that point. And then I ended up getting two more after this coming deployment, I'll tell you about. 5 between us.
Then, yeah. What did you have done?
I had a discectomy on my L5-S1.
Me too.
Most of that one's gone. Then I had another one on the L4-L5. Walter Reed messed that up, so then I got a revision 7 months later on both.
Okay.
So yeah, it was it's been a go, man. But that's where life kind of punched me in the face, and I really got to kind of see the environment, not only that the SEAL teams had created, but what I had taken part in and how I had closed myself off to a good life. So at that time, Discovery's hitting me up for this and that. I mean, there was dudes and other troops that were setting up fake social media accounts, and I went from like the bee's knees. Everybody loved me because I've built quite a few motorcycles for charity for Extortion 17. Mainly, I've done, I think, 4 for that.
Wow.
I was actually pulled off of, I was supposed to augment Gold Squadron. I got pulled off of it like a month before. I was sitting at one of the bars with JT, telling him how pissed off I was, and he's like, hey man, everything happens for a reason. And then, you know, he dies a few months later after that. But so back to the kind of change and shift in life, you know, I was a team guy. I just did whatever. And we talked about being married before, and you know, my poor ex-wife, I wasn't great to her. We probably shouldn't got married anyways. It was everybody else was, so I'm like, I guess this is what I'm supposed to do now too, you know. But that stuff all happened, and then went on to this deployment. Divorce got finalized, and you know, it is after that divorce, you're like kind of looking at life a little bit different. Like, I don't like failing, so I'm looking at this stuff, and you know, the stuff that happened thereafter. And then I got hurt in a big gunfight in Mogadishu. I got launched out of a truck when I was saving some of our partner force that got shot up really bad. I got launched out of the truck. I was holding security for my medic that was working on 2 of the Somalis that had gotten injured really, really bad. So I'm holding security. We hit something, launches me out, land on that hip, blows out my spine. I couldn't walk, so I'm crawling for a second, willed myself back to my feet, jumped back in the truck, and I was able to hang on for a little bit longer on deployment until my legs just stopped working. I was in so much pain, I crawled to my medic's room and like laid on the floor and knocked on the door. I was like, hey man, he looks down, he's like, oh my God. I was like, dude, I can't move. But I spent a month in the hospital, then went from Djibouti for about a week, and then I was in Landstuhl for 2 weeks, then Walter Reed for another week, a bunch of procedures, surgeries, and in that time, only one team guy even asked me, like, hey, how are you doing?
Really?
Yeah, man, one team guy.
Damn.
And that was over a year. Over a year's time of recovery, one team guy asked me how I was doing. I took the time to think about that. And then prior to the deployment, my head shed, I was a just made chief, and the platoon chief I had just ahead of me pulled me in the office. You know, life was punching me in the face. And he's like, I don't know what's going on, man. I don't really care. We need Pat from 6 months ago back, so just fix it. And I'm like, bro, I'm getting a divorce right now. Like, man, this ain't right. And I didn't really think about it until later. I'm like, you know, we created the wrong kind of environment, and nobody was checking on me because I wasn't that available of a person. You know, I was just wild doing whatever. And I spent a lot of time in reflection, rebuilding myself, not only physically, but mentally. That's when I got into meditation around 2015, 2016, and that changed my life. I was able to understand what feelings are. Guys from our generation, like, you know what anger is, and that's about it. And anger made me ultra successful in, you know, wrestling, just fighting all the time. It made me really successful in the teams just because we were fighting war and, you know, violence of action. But when that stuff stops, man, when you jump off of that running train, man, it's like you run on a treadmill and then you just jump off to the side and it just stops, and you try to get your footing. Meditation saved my life. And then just got back into church. One of my best buddies, Dom Rasso, we go to the same church and still go to the same church, and you know, we were kind of like that accountability thing. If I didn't see him, he didn't see me. He got me in there. And meditation made me realize that prayer is meditation there as well. So those changes in my life, I told my guys in my last platoon, it's easy to be a warrior. It's hard to be a good man, especially in this society. And it's even more difficult to do those things in conjunction in the team. So you got your work cut out for you. And one of my former new guys, his now wife, wrote a portion of her dissertation for her doctorate on leadership on on me. And that was one of the greatest feelings, knowing that I made that positive an impact, that not only did he take that on, but he told his significant other, how he was raised and how things were done right for him.
That's fantastic. And you make an important point about anger. It's great for these careers that we go into. I always used to say I love that fire, man. When it got lit, when it was about to go down, like it was always there, and I loved it. But it's not good for relationships. It's not good for interpersonal success, because when you throw in all your interpersonal relationships, all your communication with anger, the message is never getting received. People shut down. It's probably the worst emotion that you can use on the regular to communicate and to kind of live your life with. To lead with anger is the worst. And then, like you said, you get off this treadmill or this train, and that way do you channel it. Like, there's no one to go after, man, other than the people around you, and that's not a good thing.
That's a really good point. Yeah, man, I didn't think of it like that. Nobody else to go after. Yeah, you made a really, really good point there.
Yeah, you're not hunting evil men anymore. So where's this anger going to be channeled in? Unless you're going into like MMA or something like that, which not many guys are. Like, where is this going to be useful? And it's not. So now you have to figure out, all right, I'm evolving now as a man, as a person. What's the next step for me? It's funny. I don't know if this happened to you, but when I got out, I felt like I had no purpose. And I have an accounting degree. I have a master's from Boston University in criminal justice. So I was planning on teaching at colleges. And I got certified as a firearms instructor because I wanted to teach that and tactics. So I thought I set myself up great for post-retirement. And then I get out, and I literally was like, who the fuck am I? Like, what do I have to offer anyone? Bro, I was so lost. And here, I actually had a path that I set up, and I shouldn't have been. And yet, I was still like, man, nothing is going to matter. Like, the one thing I did that's going to change people's lives, it's over. Like, what am I supposed to do now? I don't know if you felt that way yourself.
Oh, 100%, man. I'm still kind of, I wouldn't say struggling with it, maybe. Still just trying to look it in the face and figure things out. A lot of people are like, oh, man, you're so lucky, or you did good starting your shop and having that for afterwards. But, with our current climate, people aren't, motorcycles and hot rods and what I do are a luxury item. They're not a necessity. But what I do have is a skill set that's dying off. I have an ability to lead and influence. So I spend a lot of time thinking about that. Right now, Saint Joseph, Jesus' father, right? He's. I never really thought about it until here, as of recently. But he was the father to God on earth. What a responsibility that was. And his job is to protect and provide. And I never thought about that. You are protecting God on earth. I get goosebumps, even mentioning it. But, I spent time thinking on that. And that's my job, is to protect and provide for my family, who I absolutely adore. And part of that providing is, you talk about that anger. My youngest stepdaughter was being a little turd this weekend, man, and it's one of those ones where, like, I'm fortunate to have gone through a lot of kind of hurdles in leadership to control that anger, that like nothing good is gonna really come of this. So every day I look at that purpose. But when I got out, I'm like, I build motorcycles. I'm a mechanic now, like. Everything you do in every day in the SEAL teams has purpose to it. And then when you're done, you're like, I make metal things, I make motors. What is there to that? So, right now when we're filming this, in a couple weeks, full rebrand is coming. Green Devil Garage is actually going to the wayside. Summer Brave Design is going to be the forward-facing name from now on, and starting a 501c3 called the Longinus Initiative. And what I want to do, my purpose, is to use all those skills to include leadership and my mechanical and metal abilities to to really show the world that the blue collar man and woman is what makes this world go round. It's not these big wigs, fat cats that got all the money and all that. Elon Musk, you're brilliant, but you are totally screwing up this world, pushing this AI crap, making kids more and more useless. So my purpose, my job is to positively influence my girls, my family, be as great of a man as I can to my wife, to show that example of being a good man. And then here in the shop, with the Longinus Initiative and with Summer Brave, is going to be to create with youth and with veterans. When veterans get out, like you said, you lose that purpose. But when you weld, when you shape metal, you have to be 100% present in that moment. And in that time, you have peace. It turns those things off. So with veterans, you do a handful of years, you can come in here and you can do foundational welding, foundational machining, and you can start to see if that's something that clicks for you. And then you can go into a vocational program that you can get a certification and go get a job. But here you can learn the foundation, so you at least have something. One, you can see if you actually like it. Two, you can have a foundational understanding, so when you go in, you're not starting from total scratch. And then for the youth, I'm having so much fun working on the Bronco. We just got a 16-year-old, having a fun time just watching her really take this stuff in, because she's getting all this problem solving, right?
Yeah.
And for me, my belief is confidence comes with capability. When you start showing yourself how capable you are and how these things work, your confidence grows then tenfold. And with building and shaping things like that, and speaking on the special operations side of things, and you being law enforcement, close quarters combat is everything we do is so creative, and you don't really realize it because it's a job. But as you grow, when you're a new guy, all you remember is that room, and if you did it okay. And then you get into team lead, and I finished up as a platoon chief. Now I have to listen in, dual comms. I'm listening to, the C2, listening to the big wigs over here, and I'm listening to the SALT team over here. And as the SALT's going through, I'm listening to what they're saying. I'm drawing a picture of what this house looks like internally, because I'm in the back.
Yep.
As I'm even walking up to the house, I'm looking at how it's laid out. So entry is here, dog leg over here. You start to build these things, and when you get out, you don't have that creative outlet anymore. So now guys can come in here, guys, girls, they come learn this stuff to where everything I do, it is based on the ability to be able to do it at home in your garage. Small English wheel, small welder, stuff that you can rent, whatever. I want people to be able to go home, and you want to start making some trinkets for a farmer's market or whatever. I want you to know how to do that, how to fuse these things together. So giving that creative outlet to either propel you into another career or just give you some peace and quiet in your garage of just doing something and having peace for a little while.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. And I think a lot of times we try to shoehorn all these kids into college. Everyone's got to go to college. Why? Many kids are not designed for college. Trade school is the absolute best landing spot for these kids. They could still use their mind. They're just set up for fantastic careers, post school. You could go anywhere you want, plumber, electrician, welder, mechanic, whatever the case may be. So yeah, we're constantly putting these kids into these colleges, and they don't want to be there, and they get these bullshit degrees. It costs almost $100,000. They can't do anything with it. And I remember going through school, and as accounting got harder, all my friends started dipping off and going into business management and communications, this and that. And in my head, I always thought, at least when I get out, I have a marketable skill. This accounting degree gets me a job instantly, which it did. And a lot of these other kids are kind of falling by the wayside because, they just want an easier route. And for every decision you make, as you know, there's a, every decision's got a result, and those results aren't good sometimes. So I think it's fantastic what you're doing with the kids in that respect. Additionally, I love what you said when you got out of the military, you were still trying to find yourself. Even with all these skills that you had, you're still kind of unsure if this is maybe the path you should take, or, maybe if there was more. Again, maybe I'm putting a little bit of words in your mouth here, but, you weren't 100% sure, like in your soul, you weren't like, this is the road I should take. So I think it's great for people to see that, because now you have a super high achiever. You got out of the teams. You have all these skills. You could have easily gone into this, and you're still wondering, is this what I should be doing?
Yeah, man, and that's the transition it's difficult, and it's not something that resolves itself, overnight. And I think it's something that you have to kind of sit back and look at, and again, through my faith, what is God presenting me with? I've been fortunate that I've taught home security basics for a place in Alabama for a little bit. I help out with the guys at GBRS. What a phenomenal group of guys they are, man. They really, really are.
Oh, yeah.
I told myself when I retired, I'm like, I'm hanging my boots. I'm not doing this stuff anymore. But shame on me to not be open to that, because I have a skill set that can. I'm a very firm believer that every single man should be dangerous. Every man should be capable of being dangerous, rather. They should be able to handle themselves, because you have to protect and provide for your family. And that's something that I'll never, sit back on. Every man should be capable, like you said, they're not going to be a UFC fighter or whatever, but you should be able to stand up and stand in front of something. If it's going after your wife, kids, whatever, that is your job as a man.
Yeah, I agree. I tell you, I studied with a guy, George Faraday, changed my life. My boy taught me how to fight. Just honestly become very proficient at extreme violence, and it changes you, man. It just makes you more confident. You never have to prove anything to anyone, because you know what you could do, and additionally, you know how many bad dudes are out there, so you never start anything, because there's 100 guys who could beat your ass. But additionally, I remember watching the Rodney King riots, and people may disagree with me, I don't care. But I always thought those guys never went hands-on because they were all afraid to do so. And I said, I never want to make a fear-based decision in my career. And I can honestly say in 30 years, I never did. I was ready to die if I had to do that. I'm not glorifying death. I didn't want to die. But I always said, if that's my my destiny, then God, please let me kill the guy that kills me. That's all I asked. Again, I'm not glorifying it in any way, shape, or form. Would have killed my family and friends. But yeah, I never feared it. And I always... I always wanted to be like that warrior in the garden rather than that gardener in a war. Be prepared. Like, I never understood these guys and girls who went to work every day who were not proficient in anything, and they thought they were going to nice their way out of things. I used to tell people, like, 90% of the people you arrest, pretty good people. They're in shitty situations and make dumb decisions, bad decisions. 10 of them are true evil, and they will kill you for that shoulder pads you wear just as soon as they look at you. And that is what you have to prepare for. And it came to me multiple times, and I dealt with it multiple times. But to me, that's like a form of PTSD. You're going to work every day, like, hoping that nothing happens.
Oh, dude, absolutely. And my hat goes off to the first responders, man. Dude, I mean, over 20 years ago, my dad would say, you can't even be a cop anymore. And it's just become worse and worse. I was dealing with it yesterday with some dude. One of the videos on my Instagram is me teaching CQC or CQB, whatever you want to call it. And his comment was, we need to learn to move like this on ice. And I told him straight up, I was like, bro, I would trade 1,000 of you for one hardworking foreign national, because you are the problem. You're the one, you're a little cracker white guy, man. You ain't got no problems with ice. You're the one that, pushes this envelope to where the poor first responders are never in an offensive state. They're always in a defensive mindset, and that's where mistakes happen. And people talk about, we need to defund them. Funding is where training comes from, you stupid human. The more money that we put into our law enforcement and firefighters, the better. I don't think these professional athletes, sports are great, and these guys are incredible athletes.
Oh, yeah.
They get paid millions of dollars to play a game, where a first responder gets paid pennies to put their life on the line every single, at least 4 or 5 times a week, man. And they get paid crap. We should pay our law enforcement 10 times of what they get paid. We did that, more people would be interested in going. Give them a bunch of money for training, man. It would turn our world around. But because of all this silliness, police officers, firefighters, they go through a 6-month whatever program, and they're expected to never make a mistake again.
Yeah.
And because they're in this defensive mindset, man, and you can hear it in any of the videos that things do go wrong, especially when they're talking. You can hear the vocal cords really lock off. They can't modulate their voice anymore. They're in a state of total panic because, like you said, they are making that fear-based decision because they know even if they're in the right and they make the decision to take a life, their life is ruined, man. You know, it's so unfortunate, man. It's so unfortunate.
And I think people don't understand, you know, not that we're going down that political thing, is ICE is necessary because there were so many illegals, there were so many terrorists. Like, people have no idea. Other countries empty their jails, and these people just walked over the border into our country and now are raping, robbing, and pillaging our villages. And these people, you know, look, it's amazing. You know, unfortunately, some bad things have happened. But I'm not blaming ICE. I'm just saying that, you know, unfortunately bad things have happened. And now ICE is public enemy number one when they're removing people that present such clear and present danger. These people just have no idea, no clue what's happening. Most of them that talk, you know, they live in behind castles, so to speak.
Yeah, I gave the guys same invite. A gentleman, you know, quite a few months ago, got on my account, and there's a video of me like doing some work on a lathe or something, and he's just talking all sorts of trash. Told me he was gonna come kick my ass, and then he was gonna come kick it again. And I just told him plain language. I was like, well, 3 people offered to pay for his ticket. I invited him to come to the shop, and I was like, I got mats here, man. I'll throw on gloves. You can bare knuckle it, but I'm gonna beat the bricks off of you. And he's just telling me he's gonna beat me up and this and that. And then I finally was like, hey, man, I spent 20 years dealing with far, far more dangerous human beings than you. I recommend you look at my bio and see kind of what it says that I did for the last 20 years, and let me know if you'd like to continue this. And he never talked to me again. The same invite was made last night to this guy, and I was like, hey, man, you want to come talk in person? You are more than welcome. You want to say all this awful stuff to me, but, you know, put your money where your mouth is. There's no repercussions anymore. You know, people aren't afraid of a repercussion. The good guy is afraid of a repercussion. Bad guy, you don't have to worry about nothing, man. It's so backwards these days, man.
Oh yeah, you keyboard worry all you want. There are no repercussions, and you and I both know guys who are actually capable are never going to do the talking. You know, and people are only going to punch up. They're not punching down. So it's only this cat below you that's going to punch up. You know, people who are qualified, who are secure, who are doing well, are never going to enter into this craziness. It's amazing. I remember when I started working with Taylor Kavanaugh, he's like, no matter what you do, you're here to help people. You're going to get hate, so don't sweat it. And some of the stuff, it's Mother Teresa would get hate, brother. It's the craziest thing. Yeah, like, I'm trying to help people, man. You fucking sweat me? I get the weirdest comment ever today. Some dude was like, I had a video. He's like, yeah, your white skin looks so dark with the tats. You know, you should, too bad you're not black. Black don't crack. He's like talking about skin texture or color. I'm like, brother, you literally win the craziest, weirdest comment I've ever seen on the internet. Congrats. They're nuts.
Yeah. You just can't fix stupid, man. Yeah.
Exactly. And why try either?
Yeah.
There was something else I want to ask you. I forgot what it was right now. All right. Excuse me. So when you get out and you're transitioning into what you're doing now, and you kind of fighting things along the way, you found meditation and then religion as your grounding forces, meditation, journaling as well?
Yeah, every day, man. Every day.
That's awesome. So what do, when you talk to people, you ever get approached by vets who are, you know, they're going through it, they don't know how to get out of it, they're in that vicious cycle, they see no end in sight. What do you tell them? What's your advice?
Man, I've worked with some people, but I mean, as you know, from law enforcement perspective, I mean, it's same. Like, so few people, it's so hard to actually reach out. So, you know, with my rebranding and trying to kind of do some things different on social media, I haven't done it as much, but, you know, usually I was doing like a mental health Monday. The plan now is to make that more of a YouTube type thing, so I can do a little bit more long format because, you know, it's hard to get the engagement for 30 seconds on a clip, you know. So I want to do and give more information. So I tend to try to be a little bit more proactive in doing it that way, because not a lot of people really reach out. Because of that, people have reached out to me, and you know, I was calling it mental health. I bring people in, we talk about mental health practices and things like that, and then I explain to them, you know, how meditation works, and they're like, okay, well, I could never meditate because I'm this and that. I'm like, bro, I am partially dyslexic, I am incredibly ADHD. Meditation is actually exercise for the mind. It teaches you from when you're doing something here and you blink and you're in another spot, you're like, how the hell did I get here? It teaches you how to recognize that and then start working with it and making it better. So, and that's where the mental portion comes in, is, you know, teaching somebody to weld. If you go space out, this whole weld is going to go the wrong way. It's not going to be the seam. It's going to look like shit, and it's not going to be in the right place anymore. So, especially with high performers, you know, I show first. I'm like, this is what it should look like, and then I let them go because they want to match what I'm doing. Though I've been doing it for, you know, almost 20 years. Right. Being a mechanic, shoot, closer to 30 years almost. But I try to be proactive in that, and I think the biggest thing for a start for that finding that mental health is making goals that are attainable each day. Because if you say, I want to be a millionaire at the end of the day, more than likely it's not going to happen. But if you say the night before, I want to wake up at 5:30, and you do it, bam, you just set yourself up. You got one check in the box of a success. So take those baby steps. For journaling, I like to, in the morning, I immediately roll out of bed and I pray, and then I do mobility, and then I make coffee for me and Brittany. Then I go upstairs and I read the Bible, and I read some form of stoicism and kind of get myself going. Then I'll work out, then I get in the sauna or the cold tub and I do breath work or meditation. So setting that rhythm and that consistency throughout your day, and just start slow, you know, in your journal, write 3 things. And I think that's a big part of, you know, the worlds that we come from is, in our world in general, is we've forgotten how to be thankful, you know? So write down 3 things that you're thankful for. And it could be as small as like, I'm thankful for my pointer finger. I'm thankful for my sight. And then you start to see life in a lot different aperture. And once you start to see that, then good starts coming more and more. Then you're able to see the good in the bad. So I write down now 3 things that I'm thankful for, 3 things that would make the day good. And these have to be in my power. So I can't say, I hope that you have an awesome day, because I have no power over that. Yep. I say, you know, I hope that, you know, I do my breath work today. And it can't be, I hope I feel great after my breath work. I hope that I do this, or, you know, I tell Brittany that I love her, you know, at this time. So set those things, set those. And then my last passage is from, you know, Bible reading and from Stoicism, what that kind of reminds me of, or, you know, the general kind of theme for the day. Then I read a little paragraph on that, and then I'm off to the races.
That's awesome. You're literally stacking wins from the second you get up. You know, I think it's important for guys to literally listen to what you're saying, and you know, have that routine in the morning. You don't necessarily have to do everything you're doing, although if you did, I find it hard to believe that you wouldn't be just killing it every day. But you know, I love the fact that you have this plan every day and you're doing it, executing your plan. People think there's like this earth-shattering thing that's going to happen and just change your life. No, it's not. It's like these little steps that Pat's talking about. As DJ says, get 1% better every day. Like, bam, journaling, eating well, training, you know, just having gratitude for everything. That's the stuff that's going to get you where you need to be. There's no one coming down to, man, changing your world with the snap of a finger. And it's going from, you know, I hate to say if it's shitty right now, it's not going to become this luxurious, beautiful life overnight. Like, you have to be the architect of your life and change. No one's doing it for you.
Yeah, you have to be offensive on it 100%. And, the big part is like, you go back to earlier in the conversations, you cannot be afraid to fail. You have to be, you have to know that it's gonna happen and then learn the lesson from that, grow that wisdom and just realize like you're going to be able to help so many people when you fail. If you're honest about it with yourself first and then with other people, that's how we help each other out. You see somebody doing something wrong, you can be that. Don't be there to pick them up when they fall, like, hey, how about trying it this way next time? Let them go in and fail, let them do it first. Don't jump in and do it for them. Let them fail and say, hey man, I had that similar experience, and this is what got me through it.
Yeah, great point. Great point. So let me ask you, if you were able to go back to the teams right now and talk to the guys periodically, and as they're getting out, they're about to transition to civilian world, what would you be telling them? And, maybe things you never thought about, things you see now. Obviously, you got more life experience than them. You're a little bit older now. You've gotten away from the teams. What messages would you be telling these guys to set them up for post-career?
Have a plan and know that it's going to change. Every day throws something a little bit different. The misnomer that we're all told kind of when we're in before you get out is like, dude, you're so hireable. As soon as you get out, like, people are going to be knocking down the door, 6-figure jobs for you, this and that. It is not the case.
Really?
No, man, no.
So even I thought for you guys would be signing up military contractors and stuff.
Well, you can go do that, but I mean, why get out at that point? You're just going to go do the same thing you're doing. So, it does pay better. But, if you're making that choice to get out and change your life, why not actually change it? Take opportunity to if you're going in and helping and doing stuff and teaching CQB or whatever, but, have a plan that's, if you're planning on getting out, and your plan is to just do the same thing in a different area, like, why? Just stick it out. Everything in the military is so predictable. You know that at any rank in the next 3 years, you're up for the next rank, and if you do X, Y, Z, you're gonna make the next rank. When you're gonna deploy. You have all these things that it's just already most of the stuff's already been worked out for you. You just got to execute. When you get out, it is not the case. Entrepreneurship is far, far more difficult than anything I ever did in the teams. In contrast,
Right.
So you got to know that stuff, all those tools that you get from the team are absolutely useful for going into business and doing things a little bit differently. But it's not going to be your saving grace that gets you a 6-figure paying job. They've never done anything. I was all over LinkedIn putting in for project management roles and this and that, remote, because I want to stay here with my family. I'm tired of being gone 250 some days a year. Dude, I can't even get a call back, even from Harley Davidson. I'm a master mechanic and a fabricator, but all this AI crap, like, nobody even reads your resume if you don't have that project management professional certification. If you don't have a certification, unless you have those people in your arsenal that hook up that's just going to give you a job, like, you need to have some paperwork prior to getting out, or at least take advantage of the GI Bill. Get yourself set up for that. Or there's another one that's called the VR&E, Veteran Vocational Rehabilitation something, that doesn't touch your GI Bill, but they'll also pay for your education. You can get BAH, especially if you're doing like classes at campus. You can get BAH, so that's something that can help you get that income coming in, and then you can start to make a plan from there. But a lot of it's in that preparation time to get out, and knowing that it's not what everybody makes it out to be, this easy kind of road.
Yeah, it's definitely not. And like you said, set yourself up for education. I had Suffolk County Police Department pay for my master's. Boston University was $37,000 master's. They paid $35,000. I had to pay 2 G's student fees, and now I have a criminal justice degree in which to teach. I thought I would. I didn't do it, but again, I was setting myself up, and It's funny. I want to ask. I think you're my 11th SEAL. I never asked anyone, what is the day to day when you guys are home from deployment? You're not in training. What do you guys do on a day to day? Like you go in, report to work, and then what's your day look like?
It really depends, man, and it's all on the platoon chief to kind of set the tone. So the way I did things was Monday was admin day, Tuesday and Thursday was house clearance or on the range. Wednesday was an educational day, so I would pick one of the department heads or one of their subsidiaries, and I would have them give a full brief in class on one of our pieces of equipment. So it gets guys like in there understanding the equipment, and a really big thing is teaching people how to do the administrative part of putting together a class, how to make it attainable to people, as well as speaking in front of people. Because as you go up in your career, it's something that's very important. And if you want the job, you have to be a professional. You have to be able to form a sentence. You have to be able to speak in front of people. And then Friday would be, some teams will do like a monster mash or whatever, but it's more of a, get everything kind of done. And when we're in town, for me, and I got in trouble for this all the time, man. When we're in town, like if I'm leaving and you're still in at the team, I kick you out. Try to teach guys, like if you're trying to push send on an email at 4 o'clock, it's pointless. This civilian, they're already gone. They're not going to get the email. They're not going to get to it. Just get to work on time the next day, have that thing formed and ready to fire out. So it's the first thing in their inbox. We breed a culture where they say first one in, last one out is the way to do it. And it's unfortunately the most inefficient and worst advice I believe you could ever give. You should set your tone. This is the stuff that I need to do in this week, and you make it all perfect where everything's done. And if it's done, get out, go be with your family. Go be with your family, or go do, if you don't have a family, go do something that's outside of the teams and do something healthy for yourself. I remember I was walking out to get a haircut one day at like noon, and my boss, the guy just above me, he's sitting with the other platoon chiefs, and he's like, "Hey, we got a meeting right now." I was like, "Since when?" He's like, "Well, they just walked in. I figured we'd talk about that." I was like, "No, I'm gonna go get a haircut, man. I'm going home." And he's like, "I'm tired of you leaving during the working day." I was like, "Oh, so we have working hours." I was like, "All right, so on our next work trip, I'm not doing nights. I'm gonna work 9 to 5, and that's how we're gonna to do things on trips now, because that's how we do it." And he's like, "That's not how this stuff's gonna work. You know that." I'm like, "Well, my guys are all gone. They're going home. I don't care. I'm gonna go get a haircut. I'm going home." I was known as being hard to work with, but I was always the go-to when something needs to get done. Hey, go get Pat. One, because I'm good at my job. Two, I already had everything else done because I planned ahead. Where, I had the youngest platoon and the least amount of guys, and we outperformed everybody because of the way I talked about earlier. I made sure everybody knew they had a voice, so the guys liked coming to work, and we spent far less time in any of the extra kind of corrective stuff after work, because I made sure that the one platooners were teaching the new guys. I created the foundation under me to where I wasn't the stopgap. Everybody was teaching everybody, so the guys would come in early. They would rehearse and make sure they were ready for training. They would go kick training in the ass, and they're waiting for more stuff to do. I'm like, "You guys did great, man. Go. Nice. Go get dinner. Go enjoy yourself." And we're out of town. Like, go have some drinks. If they invited me, I would go. I'd have 2. That was my limit. And then I'd go to my room, and I knew how I was when I was younger. So I was waiting for the call. I let the guys know, if anything happens, you call me first. Yeah. Me first, and I'm going to get to the police station and see if I can't stop this. But because the guys knew I trusted them, I actually cared about them, I think I'm like one of the only platoons in Navy SEAL history to not have any ARIs, man, alcohol-related incidents. Yeah, man.
That's crazy.
My guys are great, man. They were incredible.
Well, when you have a good leader, bro, it's amazing the way the culture changes. I've had bosses that I would walk through walls from or through. Then there were other bosses that if I could, I'd screw them as bad as I could, and I definitely wasn't doing. I actually tell bosses, don't micromanage me, and I'll give you more than you ever need. If you do, I will screw myself, and I will not give you half of what you want. And they always inevitably left me alone. I'm like, I promise you, I'll not get you jammed up. Talk to the other bosses. Just get a reference. And if any of them have bad things to say, you can come back and have to tell me who it is, and we'll deal with it then. And as I got up in time, I used to have more time than most of my bosses, so they knew who they could trust. And I love leadership like yours. Quick question regarding CQB. You always hear about DevGru being like seamless with their CQB. It's guys always say like it's just levels above once they go there. How much is that true? Number one, and like how much more are they training that you guys are for the CQB?
Well, I mean, there's quite a bit to it, and they do train a lot, and they are absolutely incredible. And the big thing is they are incredible at the foundations. Once you have those foundations locked down, you can. A lot of CQC it's reading the situation. It's also reading off your buddy. If your buddy's body language is clear and concise, and you've moved together so much, it just flows. And they train quite a bit, man. As far as their, honestly, everything say the development group is absolutely incredible, man. It's all from the foundations and putting forth the effort. That's another point. So for getting over there is a selection process. So, you go through a selection process to get to the SEAL teams. And then after that, there's another very rigorous process to get there. So you already have a pretty refined product for the most part, and you're not working from scratch, right? So those guys, it's more of a refinement process and then figuring out how everybody else moves and works, and then they're just one awesome freaking cohesive unit.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's beautiful to watch, man. Them, and like you'll see videos of Delta guys doing it. Like, I don't know, it's almost like a symphony. It looks, I don't know, I think it was beautiful the way they coordinate, man. Not a word spoken amongst them, and they just read off each other. I think it's beautiful. So.
Yeah, it's fun. I recreated and revamped the whole CQC program for the East Coast SEAL teams back in 2014, 2015. So I was the lead instructor for all the SEAL teams for a few years, teaching that, and it was such a really good time. If you really want to learn CQC, you teach it, and that helped me exponentially. I teach with GBRS, and I think I'm the only non-Team 6 operator that does any of their CQC teaching and training.
That's awesome. Did you screen for DevGru?
I did twice. I did very well, but I was a handful. So my first time, I had orders. So I was supposed to go in 2013, but I was in a 2-day gunfight in this place called Khaki Afghan, and our gunner's mate was supposed to have fixed my piece of crap Scar Heavy that was single cycling. I had to re-rack it every time to take a shot.
Wow.
He didn't fix it, and that was not a fun thing to go through. And man, that place was freaking hot, man. We were quite literally in a gunfight almost 2 days consistently. You were just moving, and it was wild, man. So after that, him and I had some choice words, and he was a big dude, man. He was real big. So I used tools. We were in the gym, and he was playing some music so loud I couldn't hear, and it was like Britney Spears or something. I couldn't even hear my own music.
Bro, you should have been broken down a couple of ranks for that right there.
Dude, it was awful. And he wasn't a team guy. He was a gunner's mate, and he came up and piped off to me. He's like, "You could have just asked me to turn it down," because I unplugged it. I unplugged the stereo, and he said something else to me. I was like, "Bro, you say one more thing," and I had just had 2 of my guys blown up the week before. It was a busy time, and I was like, "You say one more thing, I'm going to take this 45-pound plate, and I'm going to put it right across your big head." And he didn't have anything else to say to me. He went and told his boss, who told my bosses. I was on a TST, a time-sensitive target, came back. They took all my kit, and I'm like, "What is going on, man?" And they took me in for a non-formal XOI, so get my pee-pee slapped, and they were not happy with me. And I went to my career development board a couple days later, and my master chief was like, "Well, you want the good news or the bad news?" I'm like, "Oh, let's start off with start off with bad news and end good. And he's like, well, you screened really well. You're in the top 3 applicants. I was like, that sounds like the good news first. He's like, but we're not sending you anymore. I'm like, excuse me? He's like, we think you should stay around and do another LPO tour. You know, with this stuff happening, we think that it would be better served for you to stay here. So we gave up your orders. So you're no longer going. You're going to stay at Team 2. And I was like, that's funny. No, I'm not. And I left and went to the training detachment. And I talked to my bosses, who are both development group guys. And I was like, dude, I got screwed. I want to go. And they're like, yeah, man. They were going to let me go in like a year to go. So I screened again, got a DUI.
These fucking DVs, man.
Dude, would it end up going away in court too? And when I was screening, I went into the psych interview, and they were asking me, you know, do you have any pending court and this and that? And I was like, well, yeah. And the psych like stopped and looked at me, and she called up the warrant officer who was in charge of training, who I knew through friends, and he's like, dude, Pat, what the hell, man? I was like, well, my boss just told me it was good. It's gonna go away in court. And he's like, we can't bring you on, man, because if this does happen, you're taking a billet from somebody that, you know, could make it. And I was like, you know what, I totally get it. I respect that. I was like, I'll see you in a year. And at that point, I think I was, 13 plus years in. And I took some time to look at it, and I was like, man, I'll be a new guy when I'm like 3 years from retiring or whatever. And I chose to stick on the other side, on the white side, call it. And, you know, I still look back sometimes. I'm like, man, you know, how would it have been? How would it have worked out? But I got so much more in leadership on staying on the white side, because it brings back to, I was saying, you get that refined product there. Some of my best friends are leaders over there, and they don't get that new product every 18 months. So I really had to do a lot of self-searching and figuring out, you know, how to be a good leader to these guys and develop these guys into a product that can potentially go over there and be an asset to those guys. So, you know, they get a level of leadership in, you know, mission planning that, you know, I never saw, but they also don't get, they're down here when it comes to that developing the new product, man. So it's still a weird pill to swallow. I can't say a big one. It's one of those what ifs, but, you know, it's not going to turn me into a lot better of a form of a human than I think I would have been, because I would have been an arrogant prick, more than likely, that, you know, would have just loved myself too much because I'm over at development group, you know. So
Yep.
God played his hand in that, and you know, I think it really worked out for me.
Good. Hey, I think everything happens for a reason, and you're always where you're supposed to be. So for whatever reasons, God and the universe wanted you there, and it's like a proud papa, isn't it? Like, you getting these new guys coming in, and you're training them up, and, you know, you're helping them form. It's almost like this Play-Doh, and now you're building these guys up to be this elite soldier, and it's got to be the greatest feeling when you just see them succeed.
Oh, absolutely, man. And, you know, just like shooting instruction, you know, you're a teacher. You know, people ask, like, you know, what if they shoot better than you? I'm like, good, man. That means that I did my job. My oldest stepdaughter, dude, I'll send you some videos of her shooting. I get goosebumps talking about it.
That's awesome.
Been shooting for, 7-8 months maybe, and we have them every other week, and she loves to go in the backyard. We got a range in the backyard and go shoot. Dude, she's holding on steel and accurate from holster on target 1.4 and 1.5 seconds, man.
Damn.
She's shooting team guys standards, and she is good, dude.
That's
she is
crazy.
so good. It's ridiculous, man. And I just watch it. I remember shooting the 6 pie plates, the steel.
Yep.
And one day she was like, I want to stay out here until I beat you. And I laughed at her. And then I'm watching her get better and better, and I'm like, there might be a point that she's gonna smoke me, man. So I practice every day, man. I practice my draw no less than 50 times. I practice with the Mantis dry fire system. So I practice every single day because I like it, and I don't want her to beat me.
That's one thing about girls, though. They take instruction better than guys. There's not that ego involved, and I think they put it to the practical much better. My cousin used to coach elite ice hockey players, 16-year-olds, and like every one of them every year would go D1. And he's like, the level of instruction is just so much easier because they listen to everything I say and they implement it immediately. Did you hear me? Did I lose you?
Getting you back a little bit now. It's breaking out.
No, can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's still kind of, there's kind of reverb on it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just talking about how females listen better and put into practical application things better than guys, than boys.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it so much just has to do with that ego. You know, you teach a guy just because he's a dude, he thinks that he can shoot, even if he's never held a gun before. But girls, they actually listen. Like even teaching her on working on this Bronco right now. I mean, she's just a little sponge. Like things as little as like breaking the bolt loose till it's loose and then taking it off with your finger. I only have to tell her once, man. It's amazing.
Yeah, they are. They're so much different. I remember I was a motorcycle squad, a motorcycle cop in Atlanta, and we went to motor school, and there was another sergeant from another section that was going through. They were thinking about transferring him over. So he's like, I've ridden for 35 years. And they're telling him, like, you're going to have to listen to what we tell you. It's a different type of riding. It's all precision. Don't worry about it. By Tuesday, he quit because he laid his bike down so many times. He's like, that's it. I'm out of here. I was just laughing my ass off. You know, the arrogance. Yeah, the male ego, man. It gets into so much trouble. It's unbelievable.
Oh, yeah, man. It's hard to keep that sucker in check. That's for
yeah,
sure.
Brother. All right, Pat, listen, it's been fantastic having you on the podcast. Love speaking to you. Everything, all the bios will be in a link, so you tell me what you want people to look at, how to get in touch with you.
Right, it's going to be, for Instagram, it'll be at Summer Brave Design. You'll be able to see everything on there. And for the time being, the Longinus Initiative will be with Summer Brave until things grow and kind of put it together. So Instagram, we'll be starting a TikTok here soon. I don't know how that thing works.
Even though I have one.
But we'll be putting that stuff together. So when this stuff rolls out, man, I'll make sure to get you all that information. But dude, I really appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate you, man. And let's definitely stay in touch. And thanks for doing what you do and helping out all the veterans, first responders, and getting this stuff out there, man. It means a lot.
Absolutely, brother. I appreciate those words. Those words and things like that just let me know I'm in the right place and where I'm supposed to be. And I was put through everything for a reason. So I'm sure you feel the same way. So it was an honor speaking to you. Definitely keep in touch. Love what you're doing. And, have you on down the line. So we'll talk about all the things you're implementing and how they've been going.
Yeah, man. Love you, buddy.
All right, brother. Same here.
Order, shot fire, officer down, shot fire, officer down. Got a city officer down, shot fire.
223, be advised, we have a visual on enemy paratroopers in grid Papa uniforms.
Welcome to the Resilient Warrior Nation, a podcast dedicated to inspiring hope and healing for first responders, military veterans, and anyone facing PTSD and trauma.